May 4th, 2026. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. There was no real economic data to move the markets. The volume is picking up. This is what the chart looked like with kind of like a dip, recovery, pretty much sideways, maybe a shallow channel up, then one big leg down, another sideways, a second leg, then two legs up. It kind of just moved sideways into the close. I took one trade and it was actually a poor setup, and it was due to impatience, and it's just me not reading the chart correctly. Should have been a little bit more patient to wait for confirmation. So I'm going to get into the trades right now, or the trade. So pre-market, it was just essentially chopping, and then it flushed down. I'm not sure why it did that. Break, made one attempt down, did test the low, then made a second attempt down, then reversed strongly. This is all in the pre-market, kind of moved sideways, and then on the open, it was just in the middle of this congestion and this chop. It did make one big leg up, which I thought was this green guy. First attempt, second attempt. There is technically a second entry long, but this is just congested. And I'm moving side by side, pushes down. When it established this third touch, I tried to make a channel touch, and then this fourth one kind of sealed it. That I thought, okay, there's some kind of support here. The high side, I wasn't too sure, so I just established it here. But there's still a lot of white or blank area up at the top side. But in this setup, I'm looking for reasons to go long. Creates a localized low. It's a first entry short, pullback, second entry short. I saw the second entry short. Looks like it is two legs up, and then maybe a triple test right here, or you can say multiple tests because there is one touch here. But I counted this as one touch, one big touch, two, three, small breakout, pushes back down. Maybe there's a trade here, but it's not that early in the day, but it was just kind of right here. So I wasn't too sure. It's making higher lows every time. So in real time, it looks like it's admittedly sideways, potentially top of this trading range, but it looks like it might be drifting up. So I wasn't too sure about it. So I was kind of on the fence whether it was an almost trade or a possible trade. So in this case, I just called it an almost trade. Pushes up. It looks like it's moving up this shallow green up channel, but it's not the most convincing channel going up right now. I mean, you do know it's going up, but there's no true clean leg up right now. So it hits a localized high. It's a first entry long right here. First entry long, pullback. Well, first entry long, excuse me, right here. Pushes down on this really big channel, relatively speaking to the size of the candles today. So it is first entry, second entry. It's a decent signal bar. It could be bouncing off this yellow up channel support, but I don't like that it just came right after this big push down. It leaves me a little concerned. I'm looking for a higher low. I thought a higher low was going to show up here, but then it doesn't, and it actually pushes down, and this candle makes a new low compared to this. So now I'm just kind of sitting because I don't think there's any true clarity for me on which way it's going to go. It ends up pushing up. It looks like it's a spike in a channel, but I never colored in this channel because it looks very iffy because it kind of fits down here, but I don't like these excursions. And then on the high side, it doesn't really fit that well either because didn't do that. If you're to bring this downwards, let me just redraw this. It doesn't fit too well with my spike in the channel idea because I was trying to make this fit. And then I ended up drawing something like this. There's an overshoot here, then I ended up dragging it up. But by the time this kind of forms like this, the channel kind of, and the price action has moved on. So this never got colored in because it wasn't really that important. You do have a new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. I saw this, I really wanted this to be a green candle, but it never shows up as a green candle. It confirms right here. It does look like two legs down bouncing off the EMA. So now I'm looking for a higher low. The higher low shows up here, but I'm not that fond of this higher low because the recent price action already made a new high. So it's already pushed to the extreme. So if this candle actually was below this guy, or this one was way up here, this higher low feels safer, but this is already indicated that prices already pushed and made a new high. So asking this one to make a second attempt up felt like it's a little risky. So I left it alone. Creates a new high, first entry long pullback. Technically, I have a second entry long, but it makes a new high here as well. And These four candles are pretty much just like piano keys. They're just side by side. And I don't really like that because it's not giving me clear indication which way it really wants to go. Look to the left, it does look like it's starting to become bullish, but in this localized area, it feels risky. So then prices starts moving down on this orange down channel. Technically, you have a localized high here. You have a first entry long pullback. You technically get the second entry long here. Maybe it's a bounce off this yellow, but this setup is just not that enticing because it's not the right signal bar color, and it just looks like it's moving down potentially on this orange down channel. Hits a low, pushes up, break, test the high, comes back. This is actually moved, pushes here, and I was really hoping for a setup here, but in real time, I'm waiting for a break below here so I can claim a new low. First entry short, pull back, second entry short. Second entry short has played out, except that it also played out on the break of the green up channel has tested the high. Okay, see, Ninja Trader is doing something a little funky where my channels are starting to do something a little weird, so I'm going to redraw this. Okay, break of the green up channel, tested the highs. Looks like it's coming back down. It did break through this yellow down channel. I'm not so sure it's going to make a second leg like this green one all the way up. I wanted to see a break below this guy, and unfortunately the next candle never broke below, and technically this green candle is inside to this. So once I see this never broke below, I can't take this trade. It does break and flush through, but of course you don't know that when you're looking at when I was staring at this thing. So I thought, okay, well, maybe this yellow up channel support is going to become valid because it could still be, it could be drawn a little lower and this could be included as a bounce off the yellow up channel. Pushes down. I did feel like a hunch, like it was going to go down. And I think that did affect me because I was thinking, oh, I missed a trade. And then you do have a failed second entry long here. It's like a localized high, first entry long, second entry long failure. But I wanted to touch rejection off the EMA. Then pushes down, continues downward. It breaks out of this orange down channel and it starts going down. I tried to make something fit, try to contain this all, but nothing quite looked right. So when it's starting to go down this thing, I had this loosely drawn as a potential down channel, and it looked like it hit the bottom, created first entry short, second entry short. It's kind of far from the EMA. I wanted an EMA touch rejection, so I never got that. Continues downwards. It looks like it found some kind of support with this blue line. I'm going to make it a little bit darker, or I'll just say it's a green line. So I was thinking I might be in a trading range right here with the low side of the range defined by this green bar and the high side defined by this lighter blue one. And then later I extended it down to here. But this is what I was playing with at the time. It hits a localized low, first entry short, second entry short, second entry short. I wasn't convinced this is the high of the range just yet, but I thought this is in play. I wanted like another attempt up here. So this is technically just the second touch. It did break the green up channel, test the high. Now I'm looking for lower high. Lower high might have been this guy with prices moving down, but I wasn't entirely convinced I could trust this range just yet. It does look pretty decent. I wasn't too concerned about the EMA though, because the EMA is flatlining right now. It was engulfing these two previous ones. It would have probably been a possible trade for me if it closed at the lows. I was asking for quite a bit, and maybe this setup was good enough if I was more aggressive or maybe read the chart a little bit better, but I didn't want to take it. It does end up working. It bounces and it pushes up. So I'm thinking, okay, this green line is the bottom of the range. It has a potential fail breakout. Looks like it's two legs. It's going back up to the high. I'm very curious to see some kind of reaction here. It doesn't do anything though, because it's like a first entry short, second entry short. Now, ideally, I was looking for a lower high here to play it back down to hit the low side or this green support line. But if it ends up giving me a lower high too close to here, then I don't like that. So I'm waiting, and unfortunately, it doesn't give me that. Pushes down another potential fail breakout. That's where I extended this where it was at the green, and I dropped it down a little lower. I said, okay, maybe the low of the range isn't necessarily this green line, but is where this blue line is now at, because it looks like it's a pretty decent one-touch confirmation, second touch, potentially a third one. But I didn't discount the fact that this green one could be in play. So instead of the low of the range, I thought it was kind of a low region area. So this, between the green and the blue, is the potential area of interest at bounce point, which is up. So it's like first entry short, pullback, second entry short. This actually sets up for my one and only trade. And it ends up being a bad setup, but it's in real time, I was thinking this could be some kind of trade setup for me. And this is everything that was thinking at the time. So I'm thinking, okay, it's bouncing off the low of this range now, this blue line. Looks like it's one leg up, pull back, and I was thinking it could make a second leg up. I'm going to go ahead and delete this and show you, or show myself, what I was thinking in real time. In real time, I was thinking, okay, if I connect these two, it does look like maybe this is one leg up, break and second leg. So I thought this is one leg pullback. The second leg, the measured move coincidentally lands pretty nicely and close to the high of this range. It's a first entry short pullback, second entry short. Second entry short, I'm thinking is about to fail. So I actually got my order ready, brought it one tick above this guy. It enters, and then my stops below this candle flushes and takes me out. So now here's everything that was wrong. First of all, I'm looking for a reason to go long off a failure. And that in itself is a little risky because the break of this, I just call it green up channel for now, has tested the high. So it's already tested the high. This could be the two legs up, even though it didn't make the measured move. And I wanted prices to get to the high of this range. There's nothing that says it has to do that. It could, as it did here, start reversing. So this trade wasn't the best. Plus, it's a failure setup. So it's always safer to take a second entry long or second entry short. When you're taking a second entry long or short failure, you're kind of anticipating what's going to happen. Like it's almost like a third attempt. So it's like well, actually not a third attempt. You're expecting it to reverse on you. And here, just the basis of me thinking that it's going to move back up to test this high side when history has kind of told me that it's making lower highs every time, especially after this guy, which is following this guy and which is following this guy. I need to be a little more careful. I should have waited for a higher low confirmation, even though I was drawn in by the fact that this is a really decent signal bar. The signal bar isn't relating or isn't, I guess, tied to a strong setup. So it could be a great signal bar, but it's not tied to a really strong setup. I should have skipped it. And unfortunately, I learned my lesson. I got caught and it pushes down. no, no real, in hindsight, reason to have taken this trade, unfortunately. And then pushes down, pushes out, breaks through this range now. So this is actually a true fail breakout. I had this as a fail breakout without the parentheses when I thought it was this green line, which is below the range. But then I drag the range down here, and then it becomes like a reference to me. Then prices continue moving up. So it's like a new low, first entry short pullback. You have a second entry short here. It's not a good signal bar. I'm not the biggest fan of this. You get a lower high here, but this lower high, I was getting a little bit of, it kind of looks similar to this, but I was being just extra cautious. Drops around, in this case, it would have worked, but I don't know that's the time. Pushes down on this, what I thought is this orange down channel going down, but there's this huge price excursion. Creates a first entry short. Technically, I have a second entry short here, but it's an inside bar, so I'm leaving that alone. Pushes up. It looks like it's two legs up. One leg up, pull back, second leg up. Starts reversing. This is a swing low. So a first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short here, but it actually looks like one leg up, pull back, second leg. So I'd count it as first entry short, pull back, second entry short right here, even though there's a technical second entry short here. But this is far from the EMA. It's a little confusing. I don't know if I should really trust this green up channel yet, so I just left it alone. Prices move up. It breaks out. Technically, it's broken and tested the high if I'm trusting this green up channel. But it made a second attempt and it reverses back down. I wanted something to set up here. Unfortunately, it was green signal bar. So the new localized low, first entry short pullback, second entry shorts, green signal bars, neutral. Didn't really like that. Now, after this setup, I'm looking for a lower high. Lower high never shows up. It technically have a lower high here, but it's already made a new low with respect to the recent price action. So again, I'm just sitting on my hands. It starts moving down. I try to fit a channel, but I don't know how much I can trust it. That's when it's still transparent, because you do have triple touch, but never another confirmation here. You do have a triple touch on the bottom, one touch, two touch, three touch, and it starts reversing, but it is choppy. Pushes up. You have a localized high, first entry long pullback. You have a second entry long here. I had a trend line drawn as this, but to be honest, I also had a second trend line drawn, which is a little wider. And I was thinking, is something coming out of here? And then of course, then it flags up higher. That's why I thought, okay, maybe there was an almost trade here, except even if it was an almost trade, I don't like that this is the localized high. There might be some kind of resistance in this zone. So left it alone. Pushes up, eventually deleted this as a potential channel, and then stuck with this yellow up channel. The yellow up channel looks like it's trading in a range, localized high, first entry long pullback, second entry long failure right here, but it's failing right into maybe the support of this range. If you have the range slightly lower, you could argue maybe you have enough room, but to me, it looked like open and closes and just kind of the meat of the moves kind of fit nicely here. But even then, it just didn't really feel like a super safe trade, so I left it alone. Pushes down, breaks out of this yellow up channel. I'm expecting a test of the high. It starts reversing, localized low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short, decent engulfing signal bar of this, but I want a confirmation. You get a lower high here, but it doesn't set up nicely. It's kind of a green neutral bar. Then it comes back. I call this an almost trade because it looks like two legs down after the break of this green up channel. This green up channel wants to test the high. This yellow up channel also wants to test the high. The thing that stopped me was I was thinking we're in a range here. I extended the top of the range outwards. So this blue line, I'm going to go ahead and make it a bold red. There was some kind of reaction here by prices. It did break through here. It failed two times. It kind of failed a third time here. So when I'm sitting here staring at this, the yellow up channel, whether it's valid or not, I'm not too sure, but I do know this green one looks a little cleaner. So you could argue that both of these channels want to test the high. It's making me a little nervous that it failed two times, well, actually more than two times, failed like three times to break through this high. So to ask for 6 tick scalp is, in my opinion, asking for quite a bit. If this setup had been a little bit lower to give me at least 2 points of clearance, then I think it might have been a possible trade. But in this case, I call it an almost trade. You don't know that this green channel is going to show up, so this would have worked, but I would have been taking it off of a kind of an aggressive setup on something I wasn't too sure on. It starts reversing down. Go ahead and move this, redraw this. Ninja Trader for me has been a little bit wonky lately. Okay, so looks like it's moving down this down channel. When it broke and stayed out, then I kind of extended it down to here. It doesn't quite touch, but still looks like it's one leg down. First attempt, second attempt. This I called an almost trade. It's almost trade because it's a localized high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long. Second entry long is about to fail. And you have a new low, first entry short, second entry short. It could be a lower high. The reason I didn't like this trade is the break of this orange down channel has already made one attempt down, made a second attempt down. Is it necessarily going to make a third attempt down? It could, but I'm thinking more likely it might find support and reverse back up. But I wasn't too sure, so I called an almost trade. You do have two key entry points. What would have been better is if this pushed up, tried to touch the EMA, and then reverse back down. That, I think, would have given me that extra third key entry point. Otherwise, you have two, but I'm asking for first entry short, second entry short. Technically, it's a lower high, but third entry short, is it really necessarily going to go down? I'm not too sure, because to me, it looked like it already made two attempts to test the low of this orange down channel. In this case, it does work. And then it kind of continues sideways. Going to go ahead and just fast forward this because there's not much price action after that. It's a localized low, so this is decisively tested the low of this orange down channel right here. So reverses up, first entry long, well actually hits a new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long, This was a terrible signal bar. The follow through trigger bar engulfs it, which is nice, but I want to see a decisive move up. The follow through is this small, like 6 pick candle inside to this guy. It leaves me a little unsure because it looks like there's indecision. Is this actually going to be in a range where they're not drawn really well? This could be a resistance. It could be flushing back down. I'm not 100% sure. And then this candle shows up. So unfortunately, it's too late for me to try to take this trade. It gets a little bit choppy. Looks like visual first entry long pullback, second entry long, but I wasn't a big fan of this. It looks a little congested. If you look at the timestamp, this is kind of a slow end to the day. Because if you look at here, this is pretty much where 12 o'clock Pacific Standard. So from here, it's 1 hour of trading. But then from where my cursor is to here, that's 30 minutes of trading. Then from here to about right here, this area is 20 minutes of trading. And then from this candle to the end is 10 minutes. So it's not quite an even distribution of candles in each section of this last hour. So just kind of makes me extra cautious that I don't like to trade during the last, especially the last 30 minutes. So I wasn't really looking for any additional setups after that and just decided to end it as a red day. One thing I did notice is when it came down here, it looks like it was 2 legs up. This looked like it could have been a possible setup, but unfortunately, my trading or I end trading and I don't want to touch the last 30 minutes was back here. So I wasn't looking to try to take a trade here when there's only this much time left, which is about 30 minutes. And I already took a red, so I wasn't kind of, if I didn't find a setup here to try to recover this loss, I wasn't going to try to do a Hail Mary trade to try to get it back at this last 30 minutes when it wasn't really looking like it was going to result in too much. So when it pushes into the close, I was thinking this could have been, it crossed my mind that this could have been a setup right here because it looks like it's 2 clean legs up. But unfortunately, it's too late in the day for me. Just had to leave it alone. So unfortunately, it was a red day off a terrible trade setup that I should have known better, but I was just lapsed in judgment. So hopefully the rest of the week goes a little bit smoother. Is for me easier to kind of figure out what's going on, and hopefully that was helpful.